Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Techmedic. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be playing the Cowboy Life Simulator, and of course there's a whole lot of survival crafting going on in this game. You're going to go ahead and meet a number of different NPCs, and before we get started, there's a number of things that you can go ahead and collect around this area. You're going to pick up some whiskey and some food and some booze, all the stuff that is needed in the Old West. But before we go ahead and talk to this guy, I want to just go ahead and say that this game is predominantly a survival open world simulator, so you can expect all the survival tropes like making a pickaxe, an axe, clearing your land, and of course building your own home. There are many different avenues of getting food, of course hunting, and bandits. So bandits is always a big thing inside of one of these open world survival crafting games. I don't know why 7 Days to Die can't accomplish that, but obviously we do have bandits in this game. They're not as polished as many other games like Project Silverfish, or as, you know, similar to Subsistence, but they are there. So that's one good thing this game has going for it, as well as the high fidelity graphics. And remember, this is basically like a Western Stardew Valley. So let's get to our first tip. Alright, one of the most important abilities that you have is your Cowboy Senses. So you can hold C, and you can see exactly what you can interact with. Now you're going to be able to pick up some of these things. Boxes are not that important, but these crates are going to be hugely important to you, as well as some of the wagon wheels. And of course we've got some potatoes that we can grab so that we can cook those. And every time that you pick up something, you can effectively earn some points towards your progression. So tip number 2, go to the progression tab, and it'll give you a bunch of different things that you can do to build either your farm, your fame, or your frontier progression levels. So once you go ahead and take a look at some of these, it'll give you those objectives. And of course, with every tier that you acquire, you will get new recipes. So those are your first 2 tips. So the third tip is that you might be wondering, well, why do I need this crate? Well, once you get to your farm, you'll be able to put this down, and of course this will be your first means of storage. So we're just going to put this stuff over here, and of course save your booze because they're used in different tonics that you can go ahead and create. So the next tip that I have for you after you lead the cattle from the initial train station is to go right up here on the hill. You're going to run into a specific area that you're going to find a lot of hemp. You're going to need a lot of this hemp for the rope that you're going to have to craft. Okay, so we made it to the top of the hill, and as soon as you come up here, we want to just go ahead and grab this stuff right away. So it's all over the place. This stuff does respawn. Everything has a respawn timer, so just keep that in mind. And we're just going to go ahead and pick up all of this. Get some sticks too while we're at it. And remember, when you're done getting all this stuff, go back to your quest marker that you have down there, which is back at the train station. And that'll lead you to your farm. Alright, once you get done talking to the gentleman over here, he will give you a book that you can go ahead and read. And from that, that'll open up new recipes for crafting. The tutorial will give you some explanation there. You just hit tab, you go in, and you start creating your first pattern, which is going to be the wooden hammer. Once we got this, it'll go ahead and auto equip itself.
Started crafting,
and many of the recipes that you get will automatically do that. And of course, it'll give you a building tutorial here. Check out the construction panel, and of course it gives you a number of things to do. Of course, this also ties into your progression as well, with the many different tasks that you have to complete in order to go ahead and pick that, and of course this, and that'll give us enough hay to build a bed and a number of other things. Okay, so we have to build a basic campfire. You just got to follow the tutorial. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get started on some of this rope. While we wait, we're just going to use all that hemp and start creating that rope. You can hit F Since we already got most of what we need, we can go ahead and I like to build back here so I can use this flat land as my growing area. I'm actually going to put my campfire right here. And of course we got some flint over here.
Unlocked a new one. More work.
Okay,
but
now we get
more
tossed into our next
Nothing says home
crafting
like smoke
tutorial.
in your eyes and ash on your boots.
And we can start building some more stuff. So we have to build a bed. And we're just going to go ahead and build this right there. And just right across the lake, we have a bunch of sticks that you can go ahead and forage, as well as berries over there on the hill. We're going to have to do a lot of initial tutorial things, but it's going to set you up so that you can go ahead and get going. But I know that sometimes you're going to be wandering around wondering, where the heck do I get these sticks? Well, they're all over here in this forest. And now we need to go deconstruct the cabin over here. And yes, we'll proceed, and we gotta just click on the parts that are highlighted red. And there, we cleaned that up. And we could do the same over here. Alright, once we got all that cleared up, we can go ahead and start working on our cabin. So that's what we're gonna do now, is we're gonna go ahead, set up back here, because back here is probably the most optimal place, because you're gonna have to run back and forth to get water for a lot of different things like watering your crops. You can purchase a well later on in the game, but that's gonna take more money than you actually have. And of course, having your base right next to water just makes sense, because we can still plant back here. As you notice on the map, your farm is this entire plot, so you can plant wherever you want and build wherever you want within this plot. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, your next tip is that you're going to have to make tools for just about every workstation that you come across. So here we're going to require our hand saws. So with those, we can just go back into our crafting menu, and we can go ahead and create about 3 of them, because we're going to need quite a bit. And that's going to take 2 flint and 1 log. And once those get done, they'll show up here.
Scraps into something.
And we can put those into our workbench and have the planks auto generate. And we're going to actually do this with all of these, because we're going to need a lot of planks for our cabin. While we're waiting for those planks to go ahead and finish, we can go ahead and get our 2 chests. There are 2 storage crates that are hidden right here. Make sure you go ahead and grab your hemp, and make sure you grab your cabbage seeds. You can go ahead and right click on these, and you could drag this and of course drop it wherever you want. It's at this point we can start working on our cabin. So I had mine placed right about here, because I thought, you know, that's the road right there. I wanted to go ahead and set this up so that everything is going on in the back, and I've got pretty much everything else where I need it. And actually I'm going to put it about right there. Okay, so all those boards that you're creating over there at your sawmill, you can go ahead and start applying all of that to this. So we're going to need some logs, and of course you can get a bunch from this fir tree, and since we're going to be planting right in back of our house, we actually need to clear these trees. And there we go. We got
5
done
minutes
building
in.
our cabin.
Took more sweat than I'll admit.
So
But
now it's going to tell us to go start prospecting, and you just pretty much follow the quests that you get. Now this chest, we're going to get our first 20 rounds, 3 pieces of jerky, and we can actually pick this thing up and we can drag it back to our base.
I need water. Now.
And once we cross that threshold, we can go ahead and drop that. This is going to be the only chest that you can do this to. The other ones that you find in the world are pretty much going to be there. And we can put that at the foot of our bed. We can move our bed a little bit more in the corner. That way we can put a lot more in this chest. Okay, so now that we got our shovel, we can start planning out our crops that we want to go ahead and put down. And since my house is at that angle, I'm going to go ahead and just put stuff right there. Alright, there we go. So now we got some room for a number of things, but what we need to get started on is our watering can. So we're going to go ahead and get that going, and it only takes wood at the moment, and we need a couple of these as well. So we're going to make about 4 of those traps.
That's craft.
And we're going to start planting our seeds. So what I like to do is I like to put anything that is not going to be obstructing my view. I want to put those in the front because you can water multiple crops. Okay, now you can see here that we've got our crops, right? So what we can do here is we can actually aim in the middle of these 6, and we can hit them all at the same time. And just keep going and going and going until that's all full. And there we go. We watered 6 of these crops. Just go run back to the river because you're going to have to be doing that. And you'll pretty much be doing that for the most part. Let's go ahead and get these ones watered. Alright, looks like we watered, what is that, 9 spaces? Pretty good, pretty good. And of course, the time to grow is super quick. So 39 hours on the wheat, but 23 hours on the hemp. So you're going to be growing a lot of this stuff. Bandages, if you sell them, will sell for a pretty good amount. But let's go ahead and check on our other things over here. We've got one of these. And we can set this up. You can only set up traps outside of your farming plot, or your farm, I should say. What I like to do is I like to place these back in this forest biome where it's a little bit greener. And especially one right here. You can check on these traps every day and you can reset them. They do not cost another berry to arm, and that'll be your main source of meat, fat, and hide. Okay, now we get our mail tutorial over here, and of course all the items and requests will come through this. You'll have certain times to go ahead and make sure that you meet the deadlines for these to improve relationships across the board, just like Stardew Valley. So that means that you can go ahead and find many different NPCs through this mailbox. And of course, we're going to have to work up to get a horse eventually, recipes that you can learn, as well as, you know, other issues going on with the community. And the farm ownership, you have to go meet. You can hit the M button. And we need to go to Bravestand to do all this stuff. So it would be my suggestion to go to Bravestand first. So let's go do that today. I forgot to mention, before we go to Bravestand, we need to talk to Dewey over here. Dewey is basically running errands for Bravestand, in which he pays you $1 a day in order to go ahead and carry water all the way to Bravestand. So what we need to do now is actually, after we get done talking to him, is finally make our way to Bravestand so that we can get our first gun and possibly some other information, like getting our ranch fully under our name by talking to the mayor. Just a quick side note, if you're wondering how to get a Bravestand, you can go over here to Diamond's Ranch, which is next to your ranch, and there's a cave passage here that you can go ahead and bypass in order to get down on into Bravestand. Okay, this is where we're going to pick up our first weapon. All we need to do is go inside and talk to our friend here. And we can say, nice to meet you, continue on. Yeah, that's us. We'll continue on. He's heard about our arson activity. And then, of course, about the letter you sent. Ah, yes, preparations, receive orders from the state, very important. Continue on. Got it, I'll be waiting. Show me your wares. You can buy ammunition from him. And now what we can do is we can go ahead and talk to the sheriff here. That's me, unfortunately. And of course, he's going to tell you about what happened to your ranch and who he suspects, and it's going to give you another quest. And then this is where he's going to give you the gun, in which you will have a rusty variant, I believe. Alright, so we got our dusty revolver over here, and now we have the ability to purchase some ammunition. But there's plenty out there in the world to find, so I wouldn't recommend that you go in and start purchasing some right now, because you will find some, never mind, from the shacks that are spread across the map. There's going to be many different locations that you can find ammunition at. There's plenty more hidden spots all across the top of the map, and of course way down below there's many of other locations to find ammunition as well. So just go continue on your day, everything resets, and you'll be able to go ahead and find many more things. The other thing that you can do inside of Bravestand is go talk to the mayor and of course sign your contract to the deed of your land, and that'll be where you're set off to explore all the different quests and storylines in the game. Also, one note, if you're looking for the veterinarian for the horse purchase, that is over here. It will cost you $15, but if you do the errand of helping Mrs. Williams over here, or Maxwell, at Maxwell's farm, you can basically make a tonic and help her out. The veterinarian will hear about that and he will reduce the price to $10. So with that, grow all your vegetables, go and fight all the bandits you want, take their weapons from them, sell them to the sheriff, and of course have yourself a good time in this game. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you all in the next one. Have a good day. Bye bye.